Hello, this is Dr. Kurt Sean Clark Sr. here at Sardis Missionary Baptist Church, and you are tuned in to Pastor in the Pews. In light of the recent spree of activities that have besieged the Black community, I thought it was absolutely timely to sit down and have a tough conversation with a colleague of mine, Reverend Ramone Billingsley. Reverend Billingsley specializes in Black interpretive work of the biblical text. And this is what he had to say. Yeah, I think that what happens often is that we opt for the more easier way. Mm-hmm. And not that there is any easier path to dealing with our suffering and our pain, but we don't want to reawaken it. Mm-hmm. You know, we don't want to relive it. Yeah. But whether or not we do so by intentional design or by intent itself, mm-hmm. we relive it every day. I mean, you are never having to be reminded of your Blackness.
Absolutely.
You know, you walk with it.
Right.
You sleep with it. You eat with it. You live with it. Yeah. And I think, as you said earlier, one of the unfortunate realities of the Black church itself is that most of its communicants, its congregants, opt for a road, not the one that is less traveled. Mm-hmm. They opt for the one that they've grown comfortable with. Yeah. Jesus did not do that.
Oh, no.
Right?
No.
And I applaud all of these young people in our community who are lifting their voices, the people who went to that guy's home and stood outside of his house and said, listen, we're out here. We want to talk to you. Mm-hmm. I mean, because I think we've gotten to a point now where the old maxim of Fannie Lou Hamer has become the reality of those of us who live today. We're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Mm-hmm. And so I just wanted to ask you about that, because I know that your doctoral work has to do with a Black Lives Matter hermeneutic. And I think it's going to be absolutely amazing to have that in the community's hands, understanding that there is a Black Lives Matter interpretive approach to the Bible. I think that's brilliant.
And I think Jesus in his day certainly used a Black Lives Matter hermeneutic. Number one, because Jesus is a Black man. We know that historically. But also the same concerns that we face socially as a people are really on par with the concerns that Jesus had in his day. Access to health care, dealing with this issue of brutality. I mean, I just said in a recent sermon that Jesus was an innocent Black man who was executed, you know, via a state-sanctioned, state-sponsored execution, you know, which affected his community greatly. I mean, we see this as the disciples are on the Emmaus Road, you know, leaving Jerusalem. And how they were saddened and having to, you know, deal with the emotional trauma from all of this. But I think the Black Lives Matter hermeneutic is important. Number one, and I'll just say this quickly, is because it forces people who read Scripture to recognize and to embrace the concept of Blackness in Scripture. All right. Often those concepts are obfuscated via translation. But the second thing it does, it forces us to come to grips with the history of interpretations of Scripture that are filled with white supremacist language. I mean, our very founding of this nation was based on the biblical concept. The conquest narratives in Joshua and Judges. You know, go to a distant land, you know, kill all of its people because they're evil. Why are they evil? Oh, because they don't eat what we eat. Their language is monkey-ish, you know, because, you know, the way the vocal cords vibrate, you know, and the vocal apparatus is a bit more rambunctious than what we're accustomed to. You know, So this way of reading Scripture really defrocks what one has been taught via whiteness, and it fronts and prioritizes one's own unique social reality.
Yeah, you're going to have to promise me that you'll be a regular, so that we can talk about these things a little bit more and give in, dosages.
Okay.
This sort of information to members of our community, because I think if we're wanting to win back the hearts of those who have turned and walked away from churches, we're going to have to do so by helping them to understand that their lives, even within the context of the church, their lives matter.
Absolutely.
Of course, all of us are advocates and proponents of Black Lives Matter, mattering in the social marketplace. But we've got to make sure that they understand that their Black lives matter in churches like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we will always carry their concerns into the biblical reading and interpretive moment so that we can address whatever their social ills and their concerns are. Reverend Billingsley, I am thankful and grateful to have a relationship and friendship with you. And why don't you tell us and the audience a little bit more about yourself, as we've done this seemingly in reverse order. Why don't you tell them, what you do, and we'll look forward to making a sequel to this in the future.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll just keep it short and simple. I'm Ramone Billingsley, ordained Baptist preacher. I have the privilege of serving as assistant to Reverend Dr. Kirk Clark at Sardis Missionary Baptist Church here in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm also a doctoral student at United Theological Seminary, pursuing a Doctor of Ministry degree in this area of prophetic preaching and praxis. Also pursuing a PhD in Hebrew Bible from University of Toronto, but that program is on hold due to some funding issues. I work in the community with parachurch organizations, dealing with this issue of justice, but also my work now has been to help Black clergy and Black people really embrace this notion of reading Scripture from a lens that liberates God from the white gaze and then liberates Black people. Okay. I also do fashion design as well in my spare time, and I think that's probably about it.
Well, thank you very much. And again, I am delighted to have had this opportunity to host this conversation with an Old Testament scholar and someone who knows very well what it means to read the Bible from one's own personal space and circles in life. Thank you, soon to be Dr. Billingsley, for stopping by Sardis
for having me.
on today. I promise you there will be more to be said about the conversation that we've just had. But in the meantime, I want to take this time to thank Reverend Ramone Billingsley for sharing with us on today in light of the recent unfortunate activities that are surrounding the police murder of one Dante Wright. Thank you for spending a portion of your day with us, and I promise you we'll revisit this again. See you on the next one.